Imagine a modern luxury car with 150,000 miles. It is a terrifying thought. A ticking time bomb of plastic timing chain guides, failing air suspensions, and digital screens waiting to brick themselves in the sun. Depreciation has chewed it up, and the used car market is ready to spit it out. Now, imagine a luxury car with 300,000 miles. By all conventional logic, it should be But what if I told you that in 2026, there is a specific luxury sedan out there with 300,000 miles on the odometer that isn't just surviving, but is actively being hunted down by enthusiasts who intend to drive it daily? A car that was built so obsessively, so perfectly, that high mileage isn't a warning sign, but a badge of honor. We are living in an era of disposable technology. Cars today are essentially smartphones on wheels, designed to be leased for 36 months and forgotten the moment the warranty expires. They are packed with subscription-based heated seats, agonizingly complex hybrid systems, and layers of digital abstraction that disconnect you completely from the road. When things break, they don't just break, they total the car financially. This is the reality of our current automotive landscape, and it is exactly why a heavy, analog V8-powered Japanese sedan from the 1990s has quietly become one of the most brilliant, defiant automotive purchases you can make today. We are talking about the Lexus LS400. To understand why a 30-year-old Lexus is still fiercely relevant, you have to understand the impossible environment that birthed it. In the late 1980s, Toyota did not just want to build a luxury car. They wanted to fundamentally break the global luxury car market. Mercedes-Benz and BMW had enjoyed decades of unchallenged supremacy, selling cars that were brilliant but notoriously arrogant in their pricing and long-term reliability. Toyota's chairman, Eiji Toyota, initiated a secret endeavor known as Project F1. The mandate was simple but terrifying: build the best car in the world. There was no budget limit. There was no time limit. There was only the relentless, almost pathological pursuit of absolute perfection. They threw over $1 billion at the project, a staggering sum for the era. Over 1,400 engineers, 2,000 technicians, and hundreds of designers built nearly 450 prototypes. They drove them millions of miles across frozen tundras, blistering deserts, and high-speed auto. They didn't just redesign components, they reinvented the manufacturing tolerances required to make them. They have the acceptable machining limits of the automotive industry. The result wasn't just a car. It was a rolling middle finger to the European establishment, wrapped in understated, perfectly proportioned sheet metal. When the LS400 debuted in it sent shockwaves through Stuttgart and Munich. It was quieter than an S-Class, smoother than a 7 Series, and it cost significantly less. But the true magic of the LS400, the reason we are talking about it right now, wasn't apparent on the showroom floor. The real magic was what happened after 10 years, after 20 years, after 30 years, while its German rivals began to slowly disintegrate. Plagued by electrical gremlins, crumbling biodegradable wiring harnesses, and catastrophic engine failures, the Lexus just kept driving, and driving, and driving. The secret to this immortality lies beneath the hood. The 4-liter, 32-valve, all-aluminum V8 engine, known as the 1UZ. If you speak to any seasoned mechanic or engine builder, uttering the designation 1UZ commands immediate silence and respect. This engine was over-engineered to a degree that is frankly ridiculous for a passenger car. It featured a 6-bolt main bearing design, a structural reinforcement typically reserved for heavy-duty diesel engines or high-stress racing applications. The internals were forged, not cast. The rotating assembly was balanced to a microscopic level. It is famously the only passenger car engine to ever be certified by the Federal Aviation Administration for use in airplanes. They literally built a car engine so reliable that the government said it was safe to fly with. You have likely seen the famous television commercial from the 1990s. A pyramid of crystal champagne glasses is stacked on the hood of an LS400. The engine is started, and the car is accelerated on a dynamometer to 145 miles per hour. The glasses do not move. Not a single drop is spilled. For decades, people assumed this was camera trickery or a clever marketing gimmick. It wasn't. Decades later, owners routinely replicate this exact test on cars with 250,000 miles, and the result is exactly the same. The engine is so devoid of vibration, so perfectly balanced, that it operates with the smoothness of a jet turbine. This brings us to the concept of high mileage, a term that terrifies the average car buyer. We have been conditioned to believe that a car is essentially dead at 100,000 miles. For a modern turbocharged luxury SUV, that might very well be true. But applying that logic to an LS400 is a fundamental misunderstanding of what the car is. Automotive journalist Matt Farah famously bought a 1996 LS400 with nearly 900,000 miles on it, just to see if it could cross the 1 million mile mark. After years of relentless cross-country driving by dozens of different people, it did exactly that. 1 million miles. On the original engine internals, it was never cracked open. It just required oil, gasoline, and basic maintenance. Knowing this completely changes the math of buying a used car in 2026. When you see an LS400 listed for sale with 250,000 miles, you aren't looking at a car at the end of its life. You are looking at a machine that is barely through its adolescence. The heavy depreciation has already happened. The previous owners have absorbed the financial hit. What is left is the pure, undiluted engineering core of the vehicle. You are buying the metal, the craftsmanship, and the legend for a fraction of the price of a used, stripped-down economy car. But what does it actually feel like to drive an old LS400 today? Getting behind the wheel is a profound sensory shift. You pull the heavy door shut, and it closes with a bankvault thud that simply does not exist in modern vehicles. You turn the key, and you barely hear the engine catch. There are no massive screens screaming for your attention. There are no haptic feedback touch panels that only work half the time. There is only high-quality leather, genuine wood trim that was crafted by Yamaha piano makers, and a cluster of incredibly clear, glowing analog gauges. It feels like stepping into a finely tailored suit. It is an environment of absolute, unapologetic.com. Out on the road, the LS400 is an isolation chamber. The suspension, whether it is the standard coil springs or the increasingly rare factory air suspension, soaks up road imperfections with a gentle, wafting grace. It does not try to be a sports car. It has no fake carbon fiber, no aggressive exhaust modes, and no pretense of setting a lap time at the nerve. It knows exactly what it is. It is a dedicated luxury cruiser designed to carry you across the continent in absolute silence and comfort. At 80 miles per hour on the highway, wind noise is virtually none. You can hold a whispered conversation with your passenger. It is an analog sanctuary in a hyper-connected, deeply chaotic world. Now, let us be completely grounded in reality for a moment. Buying a high-mileage LS400 is not a magic spell that immunizes you from the laws of physics. These cars are old. Rubber degrades, plastics become brittle. There are known, well-documented failure points that you must be prepared to address. The power steering pump is notoriously placed directly above the alternator. When the pump inevitably leaks, it drips fluid straight into the alternator, killing both components simultaneously. The electrolytic capacitors in the engine control unit are prone to leaking over time, which can cause erratic shifting and strange engine behavior. Timing belts and water pumps must be changed every 90,000 miles, regardless of how immortal the engine feels. Yet, here is the crucial difference between an LS400 and a modern luxury car. The problems on the Lexus are finite, predictable, and entirely solved. When you replace the power steering pump and alternator, the problem goes away for another decade. When you rebuild the ECU, the car returns to its flawless factory baseline. The core of the car, the engine block, the transmission, the chassis will not fail you. You are not chasing phantom electrical drains through miles of fiber optic cabling. You are not waiting for a proprietary computer module to arrive from overseas on a 6-month back. You are dealing with mechanical logic, and because these cars have such a massive, dedicated enthusiast following, every single issue has been documented, diagnosed, and solved on internet forums 1,000 times over. Parts are available, knowledge is free, and the community is deeply supportive. This predictability makes the LS400 something entirely unique in the automotive landscape, a financially responsible luxury car. If you buy a clean, high-mileage example for a few $1,000s and put another few thousand into catching up on deferred maintenance, you have effectively reset the clock on a vehicle that will easily give you another 200,000 miles of faithful service. Try finding that kind of value proposition in a dealership today. You will spend more in sales, tax, and dealer fees on a new crossover than you will buying and bulletproofing an old Lexus. Beyond the financial logic, there is an undeniable cultural shift happening right now. For a long time, the LS400 existed in a strange purgatory. It was just a cheap, old used car. But as we move deeper into the 2020s and as cars become increasingly soulless, the perception of the LS400 has fundamentally changed. It has crossed the threshold into the realm of the respected modern classic. Purists seek out pristine, unmodified examples to preserve as rolling historical documents. Meanwhile, the aftermarket community embraces the car for the VIP styling scene, lowering them on intricate multi-piece wheels and leaning into the aggressive Japanese aesthetic. Whether completely stock or heavily modified, pulling up in a clean LS400 commands a specific kind of quiet respect from anyone who truly understands cars. You aren't just buying transportation. You are making a deliberate statement about what you value. You are rejecting the forced upgrade cycles and the endless pursuit of the newest, shiniest, most complicated thing. You are choosing a vehicle that honors the craftsmanship of the people who built it. The engineers at Toyota poured their souls into Project F1, striving for a level of perfection that the corporate accountants of today would never, ever authorize. When you drive an LS400, you can feel that pride in the steering wheel. You can feel the weight of their ambition in every heavy switch and glowing dial. It is a ghost of a bygone era, living and breathing in the present day. Finding the right one will take patience. You will have to sift through listings of neglected examples, cars that have been owned by people who treated them like disposable appliances. You will have to ask questions, check maintenance records, and be willing to walk away from cars that have been abused. But the hunt is part of the appeal. When you finally find the right one, a car with 200,000 miles that has been loved, maintained, and respected, you will know it the second you turn the key and hear that V8 whisper to life. In a world desperate to sell you the future, sometimes the greatest luxury is found by looking backward. The Lexus LS400 is more than just a reliable used car. It is a physical monument to an era when engineering triumphed over accounting, when a manufacturer dared to build a machine intended to last forever. So the next time you see one of these massive, understated sedans gliding silently down the highway, do not look at the faded paint or the outdated styling. Look at the machine that refuses to die, and ask yourself, when was the last time you bought something that you knew, with absolute certainty, would never let you down?